We're just going to continue today with the standard 7.EE.4, solving one-step equations. These equations today, though, will include the equation itself, will include multiplying or dividing, okay? Whereas last time we worked on these equations, we definitely focused on adding and subtracting operations, okay? Well, the nice thing about this, if I were to give you steps, I know it's not PC these days to give you steps. If I were to give you steps to consider, it'd still be the same. Same as last time, just I wrote them neater this time, okay? So let me show you an example. Let's go with this one here. 3 times something will give us the product of 15, okay? So again, think about what it's saying. This is saying that there's a number out there. When it gets multiplied up by 3, it ends up becoming 15. So in a way, that means that it's already inflated and up and bigger. So your goal is, okay, wait a minute. If it's being multiplied by 3, and it'll be 15, then I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying by 3. And then that will take the answer down to what it should be, and I'll know what it is. So that's what we're going to do. I's to our variable side here. It's 3 times something. What's with the variable? Multiplication into 3. So we're going to do the opposite of that to both sides. The opposite of multiplying by 3 is to take that exact same 3 and divide by it. It's the opposite operation, not the opposite sign. So think about it. If it's overly multiplied up, great. We're going to divide it back down. So show that on the left, show that on the right. You're taking both sides and dividing them down by 3. And that'll give us our answer. X is equal to 5. 5 is the answer. If you take 5 and multiply it by 3, you get 15. When you divide, though, I want to make sure that you do that. You just remind yourself that it cancels out to 1. Okay? I don't know. Let's say we were to do one like this. Let's go with 12 equals -4 times m. Okay? Well, this shouldn't freak you out, right? You're going to take your eyes to the variable side, not that side, this side. Okay? And what's going on here? This is, you take a number and multiply it by -4, and it'll become 12. So let's do the opposite of that. Let's not multiply it. Let's do the opposite of multiplication, which is to take this -4 and do the opposite operation, divide. So you're really dividing both sides by -4. Okay? It's the opposite operation. And that opposite operation cancels, makes these cancel, which is why you do it. So your variable value is equal to 12 divided by 4 is 3. This is a -4. So there's your answer. You could leave it like this. You can switch it around. Doesn't matter. Okay? Very nice. Let's go with decimals. Oh, golly gee, Mr. Whaley. Does this work with decimals? Of course it does. Silly. So, yep. Opposite of multiplying by 1.2 is to divide by 1.2. Do that to both sides. Bye-bye, hasta luego, ciao. Put a line through it. It cancels out, right? We did all of that earlier in the week. Line through it, it cancels. Line through it, it cancels. Line through it, it cancels. Okay? And then we're going to divide. 6 divided by 1.2. I don't know, I'm going to do the math, put a 0, la, it's 5. And I could plug that in, double check it. Okay? Alright, let's do another one. How about, these show multiplication. I'm going to show you a fraction one, then I'll show you some division. So let's say we have something like this. There's a value out there. If you take it and multiply it by 1/3, its product will be 8. What is that number? All right. Let me show you this. I'd like to show you this one time, but I'm probably going to end up showing you more. This is a common skill for you to have for algebra, so please watch, okay? So look, there's 2 ways to approach this. One way is, oh look, What's with the variable? Times 1/3. You're going to do the opposite. You're going to divide by 1/3 to both sides. This is kind of awkward, but it's fine. And then you're going to end up taking this and doing what? You're going to write it again. 8 divided by 1/3. We don't divide, do we? No way. What do we end up doing, Mr. Whately? Well, we take this, we flip it, and multiply. Okay? So that's one long process. Rather you not do that. You know that dividing something with a fraction down here, what ends up happening is the multiplicative inverse. We end up really going from division. We don't divide. We end up changing it. We end up flipping the second fraction, the inverse, and multiplying, right? So why go through all this mess? I'm going to tell you this. Once you see a fraction coefficient, then immediately it's multiplication, right? 1/3 times something. So immediately the quickest way to do this is, you know this. You know you're going to flip it and multiply, so just do that to begin with, right? So when you see multiplication with a fraction, you're just going to flip it and multiply the reciprocal to both sides. This is equal to 3, yes? So I'm just going to write it as 3 here, not 3/1. And look, by, R equals 24. Okay? So when you see fraction coefficients, quickest way to do it, and everybody will be doing it just like this in algebra, quickest way to get an answer is to flip it and multiply. Let's go with this one. 2/3 k equals, I don't know, let's go with 12. Okay? There's a value out there. If I multiply it by 2/3, the product will end up being 12. What is it? Well, it's not multiplied by 2/3. Let's take down that effect. Let's do the opposite. Let's flip it and multiply. Times 3 halves to this side, times 3 halves to that side, over 1 by k equals 36 over 2, which is 18. Okay? So there's a lot of multiplication problems, okay? This is exactly the way I want you to be showing them. Please, thank you. Okay? When it comes to division, sorry, I had my examples here. When it comes to division, it'll look something like this. And just think about what it's saying. Think about it. Hey, there's a value there. When you divide it by 4, it ends up being 12. So let's not divide it by 4 and find out what it is. So the opposite of dividing by 4, this is how I want you to show it, people. I'm going to show you this one time. The opposite of division is really multiplication. Okay? So that's what I'm doing. And truly, what we're really doing is we're taking this is really like a 1/4. We're really flipping it. So when we are multiplying this side by 4, we're really multiplying it by 4/1. This is truly what we're doing. But I'm not going to show that every time. I'm just going to show the multiplication off to the side, kind of up here. I'm not going to write this part. Okay? But that's what we're doing. And then immediately these cancel, and we're left with k equals 48. All right? This works for positive values. This will work for negative values. Okay? There's some value when you divide it by -4, you end up with 8. Let's find out what it is. What's the opposite of dividing by -4? These cancel immediately, truly because this is over 1, but I'm not going to show that all the time. And the value m must be -32. Okay? A couple others. You might have something like this. 3 equals, there's some value m. When you divide it by 1.4, it ends up being 3. So again, think about it. Start solving it. Take your eyes to the variable side. In this situation, it's on the right. Do the opposite operation. So you're going to multiply by 1.4 to the right, You're going to multiply by 1.4 to the left. You can break out your calculator if you want. That's up to you. And these cancel. So it ends up being 4 and 2/10 is equal to the variable. All right. Let's do a few others. Try that one. And then let's try another. We'll continue practicing more, solving one-step equations with multiplying and dividing.